Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it is time for another daily dose of dismal Disney.
Yep.
We're going to talk about Disney and this proxy fight that they're finding themselves in, that Nelson Peltz is trying to force somebody onto the board, that he's calling Disney out, saying that they're basically incompetent. They don't know what they're doing.
Well, he lays it all out here.
Yeah, and now they're targeting board member Michael Froman, because apparently he is the weakest link.
Or, I guess they're saying that he's the one that shouldn't be there. But before that, they were going after Bob Iger. Mm-hmm. Now they're going after this seat that Michael Froman has. And then Disney fires back, and it's like back and forth now.
Yeah, so this is quite the show.
It is quite the show.
For sure. So we're going to talk about this, and I don't expect it to be over for a while. I think even if they do get somebody on the board, this is a very aggressive move, and Disney is in a pretty weakened state right now. In fact, a lot of media outlets bringing up that right now Disney does not need the headache of dealing with all this.
Yeah, but here's the thing I'm going to say. Right now, the reason Disney has this headache is because they failed over and over again, and it does lie with the board and Bob Iger, but mostly with the board. So, I can't blame people for questioning it and being like, hey, something needs to change.
Absolutely. So years of bad decisions finally catching up to them. We're going to talk about before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, over 290, almost 291,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. We talk a lot about Disney, having worked in and around the company for a number of years, running piratesandprincesses.net. Also a podcast on piratesandprincesses.net, which is coming back. And so we've been kind of following the boardroom drama. Nelson Peltz is aggressively trying to get somebody onto the board.
Well, yeah, I think it's himself or his son Matthew. Yeah, it's one of the two, but he'd be like the stand-in on the board. So I kind of broke this down. I have links, and you have them pulled up here, to what the actual, what they've actually said. So basically, they're going after this guy because they believe that he has no experience as a public company director outside of Disney. Disney disagrees, and they're like, don't vote, don't agree with him. And there's a blue card from Tryon and a white card from Disney, and it's just a big old thing. So here's what they filed from Peltz and what they're trying to say. So basically, they're talking about how they need a change in the Disney boardroom. They're talking about who Tryon Fund is, and they just recently bought shares. Like, they have 9 million common shares, but they bought it just recently. It wasn't something they've had for a while.
Yeah, they actually sent out, and I brought it up in a video a couple months ago, that they were looking for people to sell their shares. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole backstory to this whole thing, because Nelson Peltz is friends with the former head of Marvel, Ike Perlmutter, and he's pissed off at Bob Iger. So they think this is actually kind of Ike Perlmutter getting back at Disney in a roundabout way. But they're known, I guess Tryon's known for this stuff.
Well, they're decided to move their focus off of Iger because they don't think they could get a win with that. So now here's what they're going after. They sent out a letter and proxy statement to Disney shareholders highlighting that Disney has lost over $120 billion of its market value in 2022. Mm-hmm. That Disney's earnings per share have declined by 50% since 2018, and they eliminated their dividends in 2020, which was the first time in 57 years, and they haven't brought them back.
Well, that's how they're getting shareholder support, because they're like, hey guys, they said they're going to pause the dividends during the pandemic to make sure their people get paid. That was the agreement, yeah. And here we are a year plus out of the pandemic and no dividends. They
did it in 2022. This is 2023. So we're going on 3 years since they've done this.
Yes.
So shareholders are getting pissed. Now, I'm going to argue that I do think we need some change at the board in the House of Mouse. I do not necessarily think this person is the right fit for such a change. But I do think that there needs to be some change, because these they're not wrong about what they're saying here. And the decisions that have been made by the board has led down this path. We had Iger and the board put in Chapek. We saw how that went. Yep. We've seen, they restructured the company. We've gone through the pandemic. They were restructuring it again. They made all these changes. They keep upping the price because they kept wanting, more dividends and all that shit, and they got it until they didn't.
Yeah, and it's just, look, Disney is going to die a death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, they're really getting hammered. We talked about this yesterday with the Fox situation, which we've been talking about for years, but the Fox situation is one of the huge sticking points, because they're like, yeah, you've got all this debt now, and Fox is basically worthless. Like, what you got with Fox was not worth the $71 billion you put the company in the hole for. And then we have to shell out another $30 billion to control all of Hulu, you know?
Yes, which they had already agreed to do, and they had to do it.
Yeah.
So here's what they put out as their statement. Dear fellow Walt Disney Company shareholder, we are proud owners like you, one of the greatest media and entertainment companies of all time, Walt Disney Company, except we're pissed at them. Disney Magic has captivated global audiences for 100 years with a unique blend of storytelling, blah, blah, blah. They said that shareholders have suffered a lot because Disney stocks plunging 44% in 2022. Shareholders have collectively lost over 120 million, which we talked about. Earnings per share have declined 50% since 2018, which we talked about. For a company with so many advantages, unparalleled consumer loyalty and access, valuable intellectual property, renowned brands, and an enviable library of content and talented and engaged workforce, it's disappointing and simply unacceptable that shareholders have suffered so much.
See, that's where they're busting out the tiny violin. They're like,
but it's going to work.
It is going to work.
Because they have a point.
Yeah, they were, like I said, they were trying to get people to sell their shares, I know, a couple of months ago. And I didn't get this letter because I cashed out.
I didn't get it, and I have a bunch.
Yeah, I don't understand. I cashed out. I'm like, I'm done.
Well, these probably not to the big people. I don't think my shares are going to amount to much.
We're talking to people with like millions of shares. But yeah, I mean, that's enough if investors are sick and tired of Disney and Disney not bringing it. And look, this was going to happen because they went up and up and up and up and up. And eventually you're going to hit a ceiling. And frankly, Disney is only going to get so high, you know? And they always seem to settle around $100 a share or $120
lately.
Yeah,
they used to be like a couple hundred, but
Well, that happened only for a couple of years. That's when they were flying high on Marvel. Now that there's diminished interest in Marvel, and there's a little bit of a bump because of Iger coming back, a little bit of a bump because of Avatar doing well. But that is, in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't look good for the whole outlook of the company.
But here's what they believe we believe it is clear the board of directors has caused this recent destruction by failing, yeah, it's hard to read this thing, to instill a culture of accountability by allowing senior executives to earn over-the-top compensation even when the business performed poorly.
Yeah.
They're not wrong. Failing to properly plan for leadership succession by leaving the company unprepared to pivot to the next generation of executives when the need for change was evident. Not wrong. True. Failing to align incentives with shareholders by personally owning very little Disney stock, they do not suffer along with us even when their decisions destroy the value and are extremely busy elsewhere with demanding full-time jobs of their own. Failing to heed constructive shareholder input and showing concern for the interests of shareholders time and again.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I mean, like I said, Disney is getting pummeled from all sides. We are entering a recession. There's been talk about theme park attendance declining. The Galactic Star Cruiser being a failure. Disney kind of scrambling to put together deals to get people into the parks. Other than Avatar, most of their movies have been massively underperforming. People are not excited about Marvel going forward.
No, there's burnout. And they're talking about how shareholders, they can't remain passive. They have to, do something. And they're saying they have to act. We're asking for your support to add a new objective, independent director, Nelson Peltz, Disney's board of directors. They're talking about his history where he served on boards like Heinz and Unilever and Wendy's and all this other stuff.
Because that's all like Disney.
Yeah, Disney's executives and directors do not want Nelson in the boardroom. Based on our experience, we believe they don't want to be challenged, answer hard questions, or have robust debates. They prefer the status quo, which is probably true.
That actually, because Disney, they've put out a statement and it's hit all the news outlets that it's like, oh, that's a bad idea. But no, it's probably true because Disney has a very cliquish lockdown culture. If you're part of the group, you keep the dirty secrets. And if you've got somebody coming in from the outside being like, holy hell, what's going on here? I got to wonder, again, back to that whistleblower, if you had somebody come in from the outside and sit down and actually take a look at stuff and be like, oh, holy shite, what is going on here? What have they been doing? Oh, my God.
We need to keep them locked out. So, it could possibly be because, there's some weirdness. So Disney was like, oh, hell no. We're going to fight back. So now they responded to the materials issued by Tryon Group. And the Disney Board of Directors is focused on delivering long-term sustainable value and continually works to ensure it is compromised with the right mix of experience, skills, and perspectives to guide Disney, particularly as it navigates this dynamic period, which you've done screwed up time and time again.
Yeah, so yeah, they're going after Michael Froman, who they believe, I think, is the weakest link. He's the easiest one to pick off.
They said that he has the least experience, but then Disney spends this whole thing naming his experience.
Well, he said the only experience he has is Disney, so he's like knee deep in Disney culture. Well, and if they're trying to change the Disney culture, you know.
According to Disney, that's not true. According to Disney, he's got a background in global trade and international business.
For Disney.
No, it's not all for Disney. His decades of experience in business and international affairs helped Disney design assets and risk opportunities in an increasingly complex global marketplace, blah, 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 markets. He served as U.S. trade representative, where he worked on trade-related issues to advance the interests of the U.S. government, American businesses, and foreign markets.
Namely Disney.
Including issues on digital comedy, economy, not digital comedy. That's what we are. Economy. The usage and protection of data, IP rights,
Disney,
critical to Disney's business. Yeah, Disney wants somebody who's going to keep their IP.
Foreign markets, IP rights.
Blah, blah,
yes.
blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
He was Deputy National Security Advisor for International Economic Policy, National Security Council, National Economic Council, Chief Executive Officer of City Insurance, Chief Operating Officer of Citigroup's alternative investment business. Oh, I want to point out real quick. Somebody tried to say you can't be CEO and COO, and they're not usually interchangeable. Well, yeah, you can be CEO and COO. People do it all the time.
Yes, actually you can. I've worked at companies where we've had people that were, or the one company I worked for, we had the co-CEO was also the COO.
Mm-hmm. So you can do both. You're not just stuck in one train. I don't know why people keep saying that. He was also vice chairman and president of strategic growth of the MasterCard. Oh, that's what he's doing now. Well, he runs MasterCard, or he does MasterCard. He's one of the people there, and he has done stuff with IP retainment and things like that.
Isn't MasterCard the credit card company that was canceling people, like if they were wrong thinkers?
Was
they
it? I don't remember.
Payments or something.
I don't remember. Was it?
It's all his fault. Yeah.
So they're talking about, we urge you to look for the white card from us and take no action at the moment and simply disregard or discard any materials from Trying Group.
Do not return the blue card from Trying. Okay, so this
Stay away from the blue.
You know what this reminds me of, because they have the blue card and the white card or whatever?
Yeah.
It reminds me of the We voting, where everybody would get.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Why don't they just do it that way? They could just everybody okay, everybody log on your Wii. This is how we're gonna vote for who's gonna be the new board member. Get your Mii's and they can all line up and.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing, but the board does not endorse Mr. Peltz or his son.
Of course not.
And they believe they would threaten our efforts to manage Disney for shareholders. Well, not to be an asshole, but you have done a real shit job so far.
That is their point. Now, here's the thing. If Peltz or his son, or Peltz Jr., does get on the board, there might be a lot of infighting in the board, and then stuff won't get done. But the flip side is...
But they weren't doing anything anyway.
Yeah, they might be holding Disney accountable, because Disney at this point is just kind of doing whatever they want to do, and there's no accountability.
And the media's out there agreeing with Disney, going, oh, it's the wrong time to do this because Disney doesn't need this right now. It's like Disney wouldn't be in the position they were in if they didn't do something, make some of the decisions the board made. So when is a good time to do this?
Disney doesn't need this right now because, they're giving us advertising money, and Mr. Peltz might come in and be a meanie and say, hey, you can't do that anymore. You shouldn't do that.
It's just, I'm just sitting here like, when are you supposed to handle something? If a company is doing poorly and it's underperforming, the board is ultimately at fault.
Yeah.
When are you supposed to step in and be like, hey, this shit's not going over, we got to change it? Because according to the media, it's never, because when it's doing badly, that's when they don't need this headache. Well, they wouldn't be doing badly if they had done their jobs properly to begin with.
Walt said, we're skeptical of his motives and believe he would be a disruptive force at a crucial period for Disney.
I don't disagree on that.
No, but it's also like you might need to have somebody come in from the outside and be like, look, if you guys are going to double down on what you've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years, it's not going to work.
Well, then my next thing is you need to have a plan and you need to show a plan to the shareholders of what you're going to do. If you don't want Peltz to take over, then I would recommend you get a plan in play, and not one of these flowery speeches where you're going to say,
our characters give us character and give us wings to fly
because we're the best storytellers.
Of the fantasies of the things of the people.
You need to sit down and say, here's what we're actually going to do, and here's our plan, and we're doing this, and this, and here's a time frame we're planning on doing this, and this.
They don't do that. The problem with Disney is they don't really give shareholders an idea of what they're actually going to do. They always come up with this, like, again, really flowery words. Our characters and our stories and our history of stories, and we're going to do this thing, and we got more Marvel. Everybody loves Marvel.
Here's a trailer. What's that over there?
Oh, we might build a new theme park. We don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah, I want to know what they plan on doing in regards to Universal with their Epic Universe, because just one example, Super Nintendo World, they had a pass holder preview on Sunday, and it was so busy that they're giving another extra day to those pass holders because they couldn't do anything at the pass holder preview, and that's just without the general audience coming in.
So 2 of the most popular non-Disney IP of the last 20, 30 years, Harry Potter and Nintendo, and Disney let all this slip through their fingers.
Right. So what's their plan about Epic Universe? What are you going to do? What rides? What are you going to add to bring customers to Disney when they can go to Universal?
Yeah, stories and characters like Strange World and Lightyear are going to bring people.
We're going to put Encanto in the Magic Kingdom or whatever.
Boy, we're going to have a meet and greet. Isn't that great? We're going to bring Figment back as a meet and greet character. That's going to compete with Mario.
Yeah, totally.
Totally going to compete with Mario. Yeah, I would, if I were on the board, I'd be like, okay, cool. Is it time to open a 5th gate or what? Because your competitors are doing it. Oh, you don't have any money because you blew it all on Fox. Mm-hmm. You could have built another theme park.
Yes, they could have.
You could have built another theme park that could have kicked their ass, but you wanted to compete with them in streaming, and they're going to kick your ass in theme parks.
To put it in context, Galaxy's Edge, the expansions cost $1 billion each.
70 Galaxy's Edges.
Right. You could definitely have done a whole other park or another kind of thing, but you spent the money on Fox. So these investors, I mean, as a shareholder, that's what we're looking at, we all know that Universal Comcast is coming for them.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you going to do to combat that? That's what we need to see. Like, if you're saying, well, this is a bad time for basically a mutiny, then you need to basically spell this out for people and say, here's what we're thinking, here's what we're going, here's where we're honestly at. But they won't do that because they'll drop their shares and they won't do it. So they might get their asses kicked off instead.
I don't know. All the shareholders want to hear at this point is we want our dividends and we want to see that you have a plan going forward. I think if they could do that, but I don't even know if Disney current year is capable. I don't even think they have a plan. I don't think there is a plan. I think their plan was, let's make more Marvel and Star Wars forever. And do the bare minimum on the parks forever, and that's going to get us through.
And the thing is, I think you're going to find that while you have these big shareholders like, Nelson Peltz, you're going to have people that are like me who are just Parks fans. And there's a lot of Parks fans that have a lot of shares of stock.
Yes.
Some of the big people that are shareholders are Parks fans. So when you add us all up together, I'm sure it's a large amount of the money in the stocks. And I think you'll find that people like me want to see Disney do better. We want to see, them treat the cast members better, the customers better. These people want, shares and dividends. And I get that. I mean, I wouldn't mind having dividends too, but I would rather see them, do better as a company. And maybe I'll see more dividends down the road because of that. Like, I'm more long-term goal than short-term goal. And I think a lot of Parks fans who own stock, which I know there's a lot of us, are probably in the same boat. And we probably have a larger voice than we realize. We just don't individually get to say anything.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens, because it might be there's a lot of quiet resentment that is going to manifest itself.
Well, there's no quiet resentment. A lot of people are really pissed off at Disney right now.
A lot of blue
a lot of shareholders that united make up a much bigger voice than they want to let on.
Jeez, I wish I wouldn't have sold my shares. Not that it would have mattered a whole lot.
I have a bunch, so.
All right, well,
not enough for a blue card.
Get your blue card ready. All right, we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.